Hi, my name is Wells and you're watching Do Things Wells. Today we're going to be working on this Freightliner. It's a 2010 M2 rollback truck. It's got air suspension, air brakes. We're going to be replacing some solenoid valves for the suspension. They've rusted out a little bit up north here. That kind of stuff happens. It's a good truck and we want to keep it running. So come along, we'll get some work done. So what we got is these two solenoid valves here and all the related air lines all going to be pulled off and then replaced here. Outside of the rusty bolts and stuff like that, it shouldn't be that difficult. What was happening was this solenoid had gone bad, and as soon as you took the truck on, this valve was dumping. And so just to be able to move it, I was able to unplug this one, just kind of leave it loose, and then it would air up. However, inside control, this is electronic control for dumping the airbags. For suspension, that helps if you're like loading a low car or something that needs to be down lower to the ground. It lowers the truck about 8 inches. I'll show you that after. But we're gonna get these pulled off. We're gonna get these airlines all popped off of here, and then we'll unbolt these and get some work done. Right, these solenoid valves pop off. Just pull these down and they can pop out. Put a I for in and O for out. That way I won't screw that up because I end up pulling these way back here. I don't know. Better make sure there's no air in here. Nope, no air. Okay. Probably gonna have to label a bunch of these things, so make sure both of those and that. We'll get these lines off. Definitely label these. We'll get them off here. That was number 1. This was number 2. I'll get these little ones out of the way here. You know what? I don't have to pull it off because I'll just spin that fitting off, which is like a fitting like this. It's just on top. And we'll leave it in. I'll just cut that zip tie and slide it out. Actually, I don't even need to cut the zip tie. I'll just slide it out. There's the right one. Should be 13 millimeter. There we go. Oh yeah, that's what I was guessing. A little bit of fun here. It's a bolt that actually goes through this way. See if I'm spinning it in the back here. Nope, it's coming loose. Go back the other way just to break some of it free here. Could use a gun, or that gets the bolts hot and sometimes breaks them, and I don't feel like dealing with that. So, even though it's a little more tugging on a ratchet, it actually ends up being less time overall. Well, I could tell that one was gonna break. Probably should have spun these bolts a little bit just to loosen whatever's evil in there. So get it a little bit, and then I'll get my favorite pry driver in there, I guess. That is a very solid sound. All right. That barely able to fit out before it hit the outside of the frame there. All right, so the easy way wasn't the easy way. I'm gonna take this bracket side off, and I can pull this kit off, and then I can still have to work on getting that bolt out of there. But stuck up in here. There we go. Finally. Just don't want that piece of bracket to fall down and whap me. All right. I had this thing moving here a little bit. All right, I was able to finally get this off. It was up in here like this. The camera view was this way. I was able to snap the nut off, or it was the bolt head, to get this dropped down out of there. I don't need just this top piece out of here, and then the bottom piece, this brass piece out of here. So this will line up just like this. On there, I'll need to get the new bolts. I have one, so I'll be able to take it and get the right size. The heads were 13 millimeters, so I think they're going to be a 10 millimeter bolt. We'll get this spun off of here on the bottom, and then we'll go for a parts run. And I'll put those on here like that. Those all have O-rings. I did have to tape out, but they got O-rings on them. need to go get the bolts that fit through here, and then we'll put it back up underneath there. All right, after an hour trip to the hardware store, back, get ready to bolt this back up in here. I think I'll put this thing back up in here loose first. This is the bracket that holds the solenoid.
Gotta move that bracket so that the bolts can kind of get in the back here because there's not that much room behind the frame. Alright, that's the first one, the first bolt. Second bolt.
Now to hook up the air lines, this says swivels. The number 1, and this pushes in. This one's number 2. That's in. This yellow one up here is number 3. And this blue one here. There's 4. Where does this one want to be? And then 2 wires. And this one has the O for the outer, and this one's inner. So drive shaft is this way, so that's the inside. You push them up and they lock in. This one's O for outside. All right. There she be. We'll start it up and make sure she doesn't leak everywhere. Leak air. It's been several disappointing days working on this. Actually, we haven't been working on it. We've been waiting for parts. Just these little washers and screws that go on the solenoids. I'll show you that in a second. But I had to wait a couple days for those, and they were not on the Freightliner parts list. For whatever reason, you give them the VIN number, you tell them what you got. I had to show it to them. They still didn't know after I took them off, and they didn't have the parts correct. I took it to the shop. The parts guy couldn't locate these screws and seals that I'm gonna show you. So they took it back, at least they were smart enough not to say, oh, I don't know what it is. They had to take it back to the actual mechanics in the workshop. They told them what the part numbers were. Then I was able to get them ordered, wait several days, get them here. Well, it's because it was a holiday, I had to wait a long weekend to get stuff back. And so now we're gonna get under here, get this thing going, so we can have this thing ready and running. Fortunately, we didn't have any runs for it during that time period, but it would have been really disappointing if we needed to run. So what the parts are just these screws. It's got a pretty aggressive thread on it, and then the seal washer. And so I'm gonna get underneath the truck here and show you exactly where they go. But they screw in a bleed hole port. You know, why isn't there just a cap, a threaded cap? I have no idea, but it's a self-tapper into the plastic with a seal that clogs up basically a bleed line. All right, we're back under the truck here. Now where that goes in, those seals, these right here, that screw, gotta get it to focus, is gonna go right into that hole right there. Now that goes all the way through, just like these bolt holes, except it has a bleed line in the center of it. I think I can use this screwdriver. Well, I'd have like 6 hands to do this stuff for the camera, but if you can see light coming through that center hole. So it goes all the way through. So you got to cap both ends of it. And then this will get squeezed back together and then mounted up here. So let's do that. All right, let's get these screwed in here. One on each side. We'll slide around over here and get the other side. Turn this thing on for the test before I even bolt stuff up here in case we gotta figure something else out. Guess we'll test it out now. The valves are right down, where's my finger? There. They're right down there. We ought to see the suspension here rise up. So we'll get this thing started here. It's an auto, so don't worry about neutral. I got the air valves closed, or open. I don't hear it all making racket down here. I hear the aft tank filling up. So by now this would have been bleeding, making a racket. So I think we're good. We'll get set up and start pulling it in. I'm gonna let it air up here so I can tell this tank is not full. I can hear it still filling. Yeah, tanks are still filling. They'll go to 125 before they stop. You'll hear it. Yep. So you heard the compressor just kick off? Well, I wasn't expecting it to air right off. That was definitely not what I was expecting. Do I have both of them plugged in? Alright. I was definitely not expecting it to do that, so I'll have to figure out what's going on. I just realized I caused myself a bunch of trouble and I had 2 of the lines in the wrong place. I gotta go flip them back. Hopefully it works correctly. And then we'll test it out again. All right, it's airing up, still coming up a little bit. I don't hear any racket this time either. I didn't before. But what I was having, as soon as I killed power to the truck, it was totally the suspension. It was basically taking the power off the valves, and which was dumping it. And that was regardless of whether I had the suspension switch hit or not. So we're gonna let this air up. Again. All right, we're there. So now we're gonna hit this button here, which is air ride. You should hear a bunch of hissing when I hit this. There we go. And then the airbag should let out, which they did. All right, we're gonna hit the button again, bring the air up, make sure it comes up, and I'm gonna shut the truck off and make sure it doesn't air back down. Gap in here. I'm going to shut it off. It should stay right here. It should just shut off just like the regular shut off. Good deal. Nothing's hissing, no air is bleeding anywhere. Now we can climb underneath, finish bolting those solenoid valves back up, and we can move on to another project.